Everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Thursday. It's August 1st. It is 2024. We have a 5-game MLB slate to talk about here on today's podcast. Joined by my good buddy, Stevietpfl, TastefulTides. Tim, what's happening, my friend?
Yeah, not much, Stevie. Cubs, huge breakout game on Wednesday night here. We move on to August. It's August, Stevie. Can you believe it? I mean, it's almost time for football. It's almost time to end this MLB madness. It's almost time for NFL.
Yeah, I mean, football right around the corner. What's up, chat? Welcome back. Thank you. I feel like I have vacation cold coming. Like I'm starting to get stuffy. So if I'll try to mute my mic as much as possible. But if I do cough, I'm sorry ahead of time. But yeah, glad to be back. Feel refreshed. I literally didn't watch anything outside of the Olympics for the last week. So you're like, Cubs had a big game on Wednesday. Didn't have a clue that happened. Did not look at baseball since Tuesday of last week. So took a full break. Like, no, I didn't open the sports betting apps. I didn't open DraftKings, FanDuel. Took a break. Needed it. You know, sometimes you have to take those breaks. I needed a break, and glad to be back, though. I was telling Tim before we started, if I mess up any lineups, I did try to follow some of the trade deadline stuff just because I like to stay in the know on that kind of stuff anyway, because I like to know where prospects are going more than I like to know where hitters are getting traded to and pitchers and bullpens and stuff. So if I don't mention a guy in a lineup over the next couple of days, I should be good to go by like Monday. But if I don't mention a guy over the next couple of days, I'm sorry. So, yeah, let's get into it. If you haven't already, subscribe to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind YouTube page. Look, the other day we were like 1,400. What's up? That's awesome. I remember it took forever to get from like 700 to 1,000, and then it just has continued to grow. So if you haven't already, subscribe. We appreciate it. We're a free podcast 5 days a week, and we go live most nights around 10 p.m. Eastern. So I saw Dean snuck on a podcast while I was gone. What's up with that?
He besmirched your game.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he refused to give the cheap hitter to get 2 hits, because who wants 2 hits, he says.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
right,
he was really putting it to your longtime classic game.
Yeah, well, when he can host a podcast for like 8+ years, doing it 5 days a week, he can make his own game. But yeah, like he was talking bad about the game. All right, I hope chat lit him up. Like I hope everyone in chat on YouTube lit him up. So we'll tell him. Listen, I'm gonna have to go back and listen now. I'm gonna clip it and I'll use it on a Grinders Live that I do with him or something. So.
Yeah, Derek in chat said Dean was being an elitist, which is exactly what he was being. He was being very arrogant.
Oh, no. All right, well, me and Dean, listen, the best thing about it, everybody, is Dean hit his like one show a year quota, so I don't have to have him back anytime soon. So we're good. Don't have to worry about it. We're good. All joking aside, let's talk some baseball. It's been a while. Like I said, it's been over a week. I did some research over the last hour or so, and I don't like coming unprepared. That's not who I am. So I had to look at a little bit of stuff here. So first look podcast, let's get into it. Baltimore at Cleveland, 9.5 total. Pick'em game. Trevor Rogers, Ben Lively facing off with each other here. I will say the first thing I noticed about this slate is the pitching is very weak. For a 5-game slate, even it's just a very weak slate. So let's start with Trevor Rogers, new uniform for him over there in Baltimore. Over 90 pitches in 3 of his last 4 starts. Any interest in Rogers here against Cleveland?
Yeah, despite how weak the pitching is on the slate, I do not have any interest in Rogers. I know that he's a decent price tag, but the matchup is just so low strikeout. Rogers is only an 18% K-rate pitcher anyway, going up against the Guardians, who are extremely low strikeout. So no, I do not have any interest in Trevor Rogers.
Yeah, and right before the trade deadline, Cleveland added Lane Thomas, another low strikeout, right-handed hitter that hits left-handed pitching well. So a really tough lineup overall for any pitcher, not just like Trevor Rogers.
Right.
Very limited strikeouts. I think they only have like 3 or 4 hitters over 20% strikeout rate against left-handed pitching. So, yeah, I'm out on Rogers too. I think there'll be spots down the stretch that we could potentially play him, like especially like Baltimore and Tampa games. Tampa's lineup is going to be a lot weaker down the stretch. So not that they were good anyway. So we'll see if we have spots for him. This isn't one of them. Ben Lively on the other side, he's shown a little bit of promise here recently. Tough matchup for Ben Lively. Baltimore is one of the best offenses in baseball. Any interest here in Ben Lively?
Yeah, I mean, Lively hasn't been horrible lately, but this is just, I mean, this Baltimore team is, if they're not the best, they're very, very close to being the best offense in baseball. So, we lost Jordan Westberg today. That's not gigantic. He's going to be out with a fractured hand, so he'll be out. But like guys like Kauser and Santander and Henderson, like that whole gauntlet of the first 5-6 batters of this lineup are too tough for Lively. So I'd X button him even in 150.
I did see Jackson Holliday hit his first home run, and it was a grand slam.
Did.
So
yeah,
I think everyone's kind of rooting for him to do well. And like with Westberg out, like Holliday is going to get everyday starts down the stretch now. So he was probably going to get everyday starts down the stretch anyway. But I'm happy. I want to see Holliday do well. So tough spot. Like Ben Lively is a average strikeout pitcher at best. Really just continues to struggle with like lefties, and like his strikeout rate and his walk rate not great against lefties. And they're gonna, I mean, Kauser, Santander, Henderson, O'Hearn, Mullins, Jackson Holliday. I mean, that's 6 right there. So I just don't want to play Ben Lively in this spot. We have like Detroit and Miami on this slate. So like we have, and Colorado and LA, like if I'm going to take bad pitching, I'm just going to take it against bad offenses instead of good offenses. Let's talk bats. We'll go to the Baltimore side first. I mean, I like the lefties. I like Ryan O'Hearn. If Kauser hits leadoff, I think he's really interesting at 4K. I'm all about playing some Jackson Holliday. I think getting the home run off his shoulders. We kind of saw like Wyatt Langford start the season kind of slow, and then he got going. Maybe Jackson Holliday just needed to get that home run off his shoulders, but very interested in Baltimore today. They have one of the highest implied totals on the slate.
Yeah, this is going to be the chalk offense. I have almost no doubt about it. All like you said, all of the lefties are firmly in play, and a few of them are like, I mean, I know we don't talk cash games, but a lot of them are like must plays in cash, like Kauser, like Holiday. I would say even somebody like Henderson even. So I mean, like all of these lefties are just absolutely like amazing plays. They're going to be really, really highly owned. Just keep that in mind. But yeah, I mean, all the lefties are smash spots.
Well, I thought it was interesting that Baltimore went out and got Eloy Jimenez.
Yeah,
because,
we all thought that. Yeah.
Like, where do you get him at bats? Like, I guess you potentially get him at bats against lefties for O'Hearn. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting signing. I don't hate it. Like, anytime you can have a guy like Eloy Jimenez as like a platoon guy with like Ryan O'Hearn, sure. But I thought that was an interesting pickup for them. I also thought it was very interesting that Crochet didn't get traded before the trade deadline. But I could imagine that the price for Crochet was pretty high.
That's what I heard. Is that the Dodgers wanted him, but the price was too high.
Cleveland side of this one, any interest in Cleveland against Rogers?
Yeah, I have a couple guys I do. John Kenzie Noel at 3,300. At first base outfield eligible. I like him quite a bit. He's really, really cheap. I don't mind Angel Martinez at 3,400. So those are like 2 cheap Guardian bats that I wouldn't mind getting to. Then obviously, J Ram's always in play also. And then Lane Thomas, I think, is a pretty interesting large field GPP play. So I think some of these cheap righties are really interesting and good value for Cleveland. And then also the pay up options of like Ramirez and Thomas.
Yeah, like them picking up Thomas gives the stack so much more depth. Like it gives another bat. Like so many times this year, we've just like, all right, well, we like Ramirez. Who are we playing with him kind of thing. And now you could play Thomas with him. I don't think I'd play Josh Naylor at his price point, like 5,200 lefty. Rogers still very good against lefties. Quan lefty. I don't think I want to play those two guys, but I could see building like a little mini stack around like Ramirez and Thomas. And then you mentioned some of the cheap bats. So yeah, I don't hate that. Kansas City at Detroit, 8.5 total. The Royals, a 172 favorite. We got Seth Lugo going up against Keter Montero. Lugo, 9,400. Very expensive. You know, he is very capable of putting up 30 plus fantasy points in any matchup. Do we pay the price tag for Lugo today, knowing that like we have potentially 3 to I'd say 8 cheap hitters that are going to be in lineups today? I mean, Baltimore has some cheap bats. I don't think it's like hard to get that done. What are your thoughts here when it comes to Lugo?
I think he's definitely going to be in your tournament pool if you're playing like a 20 max setting. He's not going to make the like a 3 max setting for me or my single entry team because there's 3 pitchers that I like more than him. But obviously, this is a tremendous run prevention spot. But he's only got a 21% K rate on the year. So, I mean, he's not like some elite K guy. 9,400 is really, really expensive for him. So, yes, we have seen him put up ceiling games. I'm hoping he doesn't have one on Thursday because I will not be rostering him. But, I mean, he should be in your player pool if you're building out, say, a 20 max setting or 150 setting. But really, if he's going to be chalky, I would personally be underweight him if he's going to be like a popular spend up option.
See, my thing with Lugo is I think I'd rather pay up for like Sonny Gray and take shots on Gray. But with that said, I think you have to have him in your pool, and I would even have him in my pool in like a 3-entry max build today. Like the Detroit lineup might be really, really bad today. With Riley Green hurt and Baez out on, I think it was a family and medical something like emergency list or whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, this lineup could be really, really bad. So like Lugo's not this like excellent K guy, but there's a potential of like 6 hitters or more over 25% here, strikeouts against right-handed pitching. So while I don't typically like to pay like 9,400 for Seth Lugo because, I mean, he's an average strikeout pitcher, 21.7%. Right. But it's a fantastic matchup, plenty of strikeouts in the lineup, and the lineup just might be really bad. It's like going to be facing like, I mean, 4 guys that just got called up recently in this lineup potentially. So, yeah, a lot of interest in Lugo outside of the fact that I don't like paying this much for a guy that has an average strikeout rate. Like, because when you're paying 9,400 for a guy that has a 30% K rate, he can have like a bad inning and then still get like 8 to 10 Ks to still get you there.
Right.
I don't think Seth Lugo is going to go out and get 8 to 10 Ks even against this bad lineup. So, the one lineup, or he's had a couple games with big strikeouts this year, but I mean, again, I think he's playable, no doubt. I think I'd pay up for Sonny Gray personally, but I definitely think you take shots on him today. Any interest on Montero on the other side?
No, not really. I don't know. He's like a average K pitcher. I love this Kansas City Royals lineup quite a bit. I guess you could maybe get like a pinch in 150, but not something I'm actively seeking out.
Yeah, below average strikeouts, struggles at both sides of the plate, high WOBA to righties, high power ISO to righties. Really just a guy that gets hit really hard by like right-handed bats. And when you think of Kansas City, a couple of the best hitters in this lineup, Salvador Perez, Bobby Witt, power righties. So could really struggle here. they went out and they got Paul DeJong, who is another right-handed bat that has power that should benefit from a lower strikeout pitcher. So I think I'm out on Montero. What are your thoughts here on the Royals bats?
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it. I mean, Bobby Witt is just like an absolute animal. I mean, he's just so freaking good. So I obviously can't say anything bad about Bobby Witt, even at 6,500. You called it with Sal Perez. Don't forget about Hunter Renfroe, 3,600, another power righty. Freddie Fermin, 3,300. Perhaps he catches again. I think he's another cheap righty bat that you could attack with. And then even in somebody like Melendez at 3,100, I think is pretty good value.
Yeah, I think that this is one of the best spots of the slate. Like, obviously we talked about Baltimore. I think Baltimore and Kansas City are the top two offenses on the slate. So a lot of interest here in Kansas City. Detroit side of this one, any interest here in the Tigers against Lugo?
Not really. I think Colt Keith is a really, decent, hitter, but I'm not like looking for any Detroit bats. Keith would be one of them if I had to. I guess Wenceel Perez also would be another because they're both cheap enough, but that would really be it for me.
Yeah, really hard to play Detroit here. Lugo, not a guy that gives up a ton of power to either side of the plate. Like, he tends to give up more like barrels to righties from time to time, but I mean, maybe Vierling if anything. But I don't think you're excited to play any of these guys. I was just looking at the pricing, like Malloy maybe if he cracks the lineup at like 3,100, but I mean, he's another guy you're just kind of chasing a cheap home run with in this spot against Lugo. I think he'd be the other guy because they've been hitting him in like the 3 or 4 hole here with Riley Green out. So from what I could tell. All right, we got Miami at Atlanta, 8.5 total. Atlanta 200 favorite. Max Meyer against Charlie Morton. Any interest here in Max Meyer?
No, I don't. I know that this Atlanta team is pretty banged up, but still, I think that they're, it's a big ballpark downgrade for Meyer. He's only had, I think this will be his 4th start of the year. So it's only his second one since April, I believe. Yeah. So, I don't really have any interest in Meyer. Too expensive, too tough of a matchup, bad ballpark. So, no.
Yeah, I mean, he pitched really well against Atlanta. What, second month of the season?
Yeah, April 13th.
They did say like he's one of the ones that came back from Tommy John, and they did say like his limit is kind of gone for the rest of the year, which is I think really good. I think he's an excellent large field tournament play today. I don't think there's any. I think the range of outcomes is like -10 and 25 to 30. Like I think the range of outcomes is like massive for him today. The ballpark stinks. If this game was in Miami, I think he'd be even like getting into a 20 entry max, 3 entry max type of play.
Yeah.
Because even like some of the guys that they added are right-handed, and he's gonna have better stuff against righties. His strikeout rate is going to be higher against righties from what we've seen so far from him. So I think in large field tournaments, you could potentially take shots on him, like top heavy large field tournaments. I think he's a play today. Huge underdog, bad pitching slate, potential weather. It's still, I mean, it's August 1st. There's going to be weather for the next month or so still. So I think he's worth potentially taking because the other thing you got to remember just in general against Atlanta is Riley strikes out, Soler strikes out, Ozuna strikes out or he hits home runs, Olsen strikes out, Eddie Rosario strikes out, Kelnick strikes out. So like there's a lot of strikeouts, a lot of power, but a lot of strikeouts here. So large field tournament play, no restrictions, great. I think we could take shots on him today. And then Charlie Morton, like another guy that you're like, Charlie Morton is what price? What are we doing? kind of thing. But I mean, I think he's okay today, right? I mean, he's okay.
He's gonna be this. He's gonna be the super chalk.
Well, yeah. I mean, this lineup, Miami's lineup now.
Yeah, I know it's
just
really bad.
This lineup is not. It's gone from like bad to atrocious. You take Jazz out of this lineup. You take Bell out of this lineup. De La Cruz got traded.
Yeah,
and it's like, why didn't they try to move Jake Berger? Because like he is like a decent hitter. I'm sure they could have moved him, but yeah, terrible lineup.
They did touch up Taj Bradley pretty good on Wednesday.
They're going to be that team, right? They're going to be that team that like gets no hit or scores 10 runs. Like they're just man.
Taj Bradley was super chalk on Wednesday, and the Marlins beat him up pretty good. So, but yeah, Morton's going to be chalk again. I mean, he's going to be chalk on the slate, I should say.
And like, just get used to it. I mean, every day that we're going to have Miami on the slate, we're going to be picking on them. The lineup's just really bad. So, what are your thoughts though, overall on Morton? I mean, like a chalky Charlie Morton screams terrible to me.
Yeah, it does. It really does. But this lineup is just so bad. That's the only thing that's going to sell me. Because Morton can have like really, really shaky control. His K rate is not great, 23.3%, 9% walk rate. I mean, his swing and strike percentage is pretty solid. So that is good. But I mean, sometimes he just has really, really bad control. So that just makes it a little bit sketchy. But I'm probably going to be playing him in single entry. I'm not going to sit here and lie about it. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't think Morton is a bad play by any means. I don't know. It's still early. I don't know what I would do as like
I wish he was like 9,500. That way I would have like 3 or 4 options to determine at that same price point.
My initial lean on this slate is to play 2 of 3 of Gray, Shoto, and Lugo. Especially like Charlie Morton might be like the fade for me in a 3-entry max build. But like if you're playing 20 or 150, you could be underweight on Morton, I think, on this slate. Like Charlie Morton is not generating any more strikeouts, but Miami's awful. His strikeout rate is down 5% over the last month. He is getting older, and it's just so tough to play a chalky Morton. But I agree with you. I think he's going to be popular. I think there's a great chance he scores over 20 fantasy points, though. Yes. Miami is bad. If you're not playing Morton, any interest in any of these Miami bats?
Let me try to figure out. Yeah, they really priced up Edwards, so I guess not. I was hoping to play him for cheap, but he is too expensive now. So no, I don't.
Yeah, I think you can still play Edwards. Like his speed combo, Charlie Morton, a guy you can run off of. So I think you could still play Edwards. Shortstop is loaded today, like absolutely loaded, with Witt and Henderson at the top. And I think if you're not playing one of those two guys, you could save some money and go to Edwards. Like he's a guy. He's not going to go out and typically hit you a home run, but he could steal you 2 bases. He could get on base twice. So I think you can play Edwards today. I would definitely prioritize Witt and Henderson, though. Like I think both of those guys are just in an incredible spot. So,
and I guess I wouldn't mind Jesus Sanchez too. He's got decent pop for 3,400.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when Charlie Morton's not pitching well, he's very hittable. And he has really been struggling. Just in general, like his ISO numbers against righties is very, very high. So you could potentially even take a shot on like a Jake Berger home run here if you wanted to. He's been hitting the ball well. I think he has home runs in 3 of his last 5. Atlanta side here, I think it's a stacker fade spot against Meyer. Like, I don't think this is a team you want to play one-offs most of the time because they're just not cheap anymore. Like everybody is priced up. You can still get Kelnick at a pretty good price, but like Soler's 4,500. That's a good price. But I mean, Ozuna, Riley, Olsen, the three guys you want to pay up for are just so expensive. I think Atlanta's a stacker fade spot.
Yeah, I agree. I've been playing Matt Olson like all season, and I didn't play him today, and he had 2 home runs. So I hate him. But I think I think he's a fantastic play. I'm going to see what his home run odds are on the slate on Thursday. So yeah, I think it's a stacker fade spot for sure.
All right, moving on. We got St. Louis at Chicago taking on the Cubs. 8.5 total pick'em game. 8.5 total with these two pitchers. I was pulling it up really quick, and there's no wind either, which I think is really interesting. Like, I think the total is a little high for these two pitchers in this game, but hey, I'm not a Vegas odds maker, so who knows? We got Gray and Shoto. Any interest here in Sonny Gray?
Yeah, I really do love Sonny Gray in the spot. 30% K rate going up against a high K rate Cubs team. Assuming the wind is neutral or good for pitching, I think Gray is the top, probably raw point play on the slate. I know he doesn't have a huge ceiling in terms of leash, but I think he can make up for it with the amount of strikeouts the Cubs have.
Yeah, 30% K rate guy. This is kind of what we were talking about, right? Like he can have a bad inning and still get 7 to 10 strikeouts and get you there. He has been struggling big time lately. He has been getting touched up. He's been getting hit hard, both sides of the plate. His WOBA 390 over the last month and a half. So ownership definitely going to become a factor for me today when it comes to Sonny Gray. But I mean, we're not in that time of the year where it's like, this is a good series that like these teams need to win, but it's definitely a series you want to win if you're St. Louis. So I will say, I think Cubs getting Paredes was a really good pickup. As much as I like Morel's like power, Paredes has power and he doesn't strike out as much. He walks, he gets on base. Yeah. The lineup overall is a little bit tougher with him in there, in my opinion. So yeah, I like Sonny Gray. I like the strikeout upside of Sonny Gray, but also, I mean, again, like he has been struggling. So if he starts to get really chalky, you could definitely get off it.
I think he's gonna be the second highest owned pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably end up underweight on him and play more Seth Lugo if he's chalky, but that's me personally. I also have a ton of interest in Shota on the other side of this game. Like, I think the Cardinals adding Tommy Pham was a good pickup for them, but I still think like the lineup still lacks against left-handed pitching. So I think Shota is very interesting here. Really good leash. Typically goes out and throws 6+ innings. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, so I kind of like Shota more than Lugo. I'd rank them. I'd rank Shota second and Lugo behind him. That's just my opinion. I prefer the upside from Shota. I mean, I know Lugo's got upside against Detroit, but I think Lugo's going to be more popular. It's going to be an ownership thing for me. If Lugo's less popular, I'd be more inclined to pitch Lugo. If Shota's less popular, I'd be more inclined to pitch him. But yeah, I think Shota's got a way higher ceiling than even guys like Charles, like Morton and Lugo.
Any interest in the Cardinals bats here?
Not really. I like Shota too much to really have that much interest. I guess. Well, I mean, shortstop's just so loaded. Like Mason Wynn at 4,300 seems really unnecessary in my opinion, just because shortstop is so loaded. I don't really want Contreras. I'm not going to spend that much for catcher in this matchup. I just think no, not really.
So I think you chase home runs against him. Like he continues to give up a lot of fly balls. So if you want to chase a home run with like Wynn, Contreras, Tommy Pham. I didn't look at Pham's price tag.
He's 39.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fine price tag to chase a home run. So like this guy, he gives up home runs. So I think chasing the home run, I don't think I'd stack against him, but chasing the home run, I think is a good idea. I mean, he has been blown up plenty of times. So I think you could chase the home runs. And then on the Cubs side against Gray, man, if Sonny Gray, like if you're right and like Sonny Gray is going to be uber chalky here, like I don't hate the idea of a leverage stack here for the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I definitely don't mind that in a large field setting. Yeah, like guys like maybe like Happ, Bellinger, Bush. Bush is under 4K. It's a pretty decent price. Yeah, maybe like a 3-man even. Don't have to do a full 5 to get leverage.
Yeah, I think a leverage stack, whether you do 3, 4, or 5, is very much in play today with the Cubs. Because like again, like Sonny Gray has been getting hit very hard recently. He's given up at least 3 earned runs in 5 straight starts. He just gave up a ton of home runs to the Braves recently. So I think you could leverage stack the Cubs here. We finished the slate with the Angels and Rockies. What a way to finish. Welcome back, Stevie. 9 total. Angels, a 120 favorite. We have Ryan Feltner and Carson Fulmer facing off against each other here. Any interest here in Feltner?
I really don't. I mean, I guess you could always pitch somebody against LA, but oh man, I mean, he has been fairly consistent, like putting up like 15 fantasy points a game, but I don't know. I guess if you want to pay up for some seriously high price bats, you could punt with Feltner.
So one of my favorite props I'm going to be looking for tomorrow is Feltner strikeout prop. I need to look into it more, but at first look and first glance, he's changed something because his whiff rate has gone through the roof. He's been striking out people a lot. Like it's up like almost 4%. So need to do a little diving on what Feltner is doing different. Maybe it's just he recently because he has gotten on the road a little bit, but the Angels lineup, they have strikeouts definitely at the bottom half as well. So I have a lot of interest in Feltner. I think his strikeout prop comes in at 4.5. If it does, I love the over on 4.5. So that's something I already wrote down. But yeah, I have a lot of interest in Feltner today. He's by far my favorite cheap pitcher on the slate. So, and I mean that's not really saying much because we don't have a lot of cheap options. I think people are going to try to make Carson Fulmer work on the other side, and like I get that, but I have more interest in Feltner. 6K. You can play a top arm with Feltner and just kind of hope he gets you 15. I think it's 15. I think is very doable in this spot for him, and I think on this slate in particular, we'd be super happy with 15 if our bats do their thing. So if you're looking at Baltimore and you're looking at Kansas City, well. Listen, everybody's looking at those two teams. How do I get different? I play some Ryan Feltner today. Any interest in Fulmer on the other side?
I would if they would let him throw longer. They only let him throw 75 pitches. So I know he can get there against, this opponent, but his ceiling is really, really capped. So I'd much rather go with Meyer at this price point or Feltner for cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy that is getting he was a reliever getting moved to the starting rotation, getting stretched out. I think like could he get 85 pitches? I think that's kind of his max. I think like 85 is doable. Here's the thing. If he was 6,500, I'd have so much more interest in him. And like, oh, Stevie, like $800. What's $800 is 1 or 2 more big bets. Like it ups my lineup enough where it's like, do I play him over like a Ben Lively? Probably.
Yeah, I would definitely play him over Lively.
Yeah, I mean,
I would play him over Rogers too.
Yeah, I think Meyer has more upside, like more ceiling overall, but I think Fulmer is a guy, like if you're playing 150 lineups on the slate, you probably run a little bit because, I mean, ever since they have transitioned him into a starter over his last 3 starts, he's gotten Oakland twice in Seattle, but I mean, his strikeout rate's been decent. It's just, if he's not striking out Oakland and Seattle, is he really going to go out there and strike out Colorado? Maybe. The Rockies are not great, so maybe. Shocked that Ryan McMahon's still in a Rockies uniform. That's one that when I was looking through stuff that I was shocked. But I like Feltner more than I like Fulmer. Any interest here in the Rockies bats?
Well, you pretty much named the guy that I'm interested in. As like a one-off play would be McMahon. Way too cheap at 4,100.
Way too cheap.
Way too cheap. I guess Doyle's back from him punching his hand into the wall, so Doyle's interested in tournament play. Toglia is fine at 4K. I do have a little bit of interest in this Rockies team. Not a ton, though.
Yeah, lineup should be getting Nolan Jones back soon. He started his rehab assignment. I saw that when I was looking through stuff. I wish they'd hit Hilliard higher because he has some home run power. But, I mean, they hit him so far down in the lineup, you lose that potential extra at bat with him hitting so far down in the lineup. I mean, they are on the road, so the chance to get a fourth at bat is there. Toglia, like, problem with Toglia is like he's 4K at first base. So maybe he's more of like a FanDuel play, but I'm finding the extra $300 on DraftKings to get to O'Hearn like 10 out of 10 times. So right, yeah. I mean, that's the problem.
I get it.
Angels side of this one. One of the reasons I have interest in Feltner is because I just struggle to get any Angels in lineups right now.
I don't blame you. I never play them. I guess Ohapi is fine at catcher at 4,100. But that's, I don't know. I mean, that's really about it for me. This Angels team is very frustrating because they can be pesky, but they just have no power.
Yeah. I mean, I can't get excited about playing anybody from the Angels. Like, with Trout out of the lineup or Rendon back out of the lineup, it's just really tough.
Drury's back. He's 2,600.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
I mean, yeah.
I will say, like, Trout having like a setback just stinks, man. I know. Mike Trout playing in baseball games is just phenomenal. So want to see him get back soon. But I will say maybe Matt Tias at catcher, 2,500. You could potentially play him. He's a cheap catcher. So, I love me some cheap catchers. So, all right, let's play the morning grind game. And then Joe Adell is like the only time I play Joe Adell is when he's facing a lefty. For some reason, he struggles with righties. He reminds me of Soriano from Major League. Joe Adell, so much power against fastballs, struggles so much with curveballs. He hits left-handed. He has a 394 ISO against lefties, and a 133 ISO against righties. And like you look at his fastball curveball numbers, it's like it's dude, I'm telling you, it's Soriano from Major League. Like that dude could hit fastballs, but you throw a curveball, man. Woo. Jabba, isn't that Jabba? Yeah. Love that movie. All right. Morning grind game. We get started here under 8K to get 6 or more strikeouts. Who do you got?
I'm not going to let you have your guy. I'm going to take him. Give me Feltner.
All right. Well, I mean, that's the fair part. I'll go Meyer. I think both of these guys have potential to get, 6 or more strikeouts. Jobu. Yeah. See, I listen, I need to watch Major League. Pedro. Yeah. I mean, I need to fire up some Major League. I haven't watched it in like a month or two. That's like a movie that you just fire up every once in a while and watch it like that. The Replacements, Remember the Titans, those type of movies. Over 8K to score under 15. Who's your bust today?
It's got to be Lugo just by default.
I mean, I would have said Ben Lively by default, but
I thought it had to be over 8K.
He is 8K. You can't play him under 8K. So
you said over 8K.
Yeah, well, it's a 5-game slate, so
So now you're changing the rules. All
yeah,
right.
well, no, I don't want to pull a Dean. I'll say Charlie Morton doesn't get there. So there you go. Can't pull a Dean. Can't mess with the integrity of the morning grind game. And someone in chat, I forget who it was, and I just read it, but someone say morning grind contest. I'll run one tomorrow. I didn't set one up before the podcast, and I can't multitask. So over 4K to hit a home run. Who's going yard today?
I'll go Ryan O'Hearn.
I like it. I'm going all the way to the top. I don't care. He's going to hit home run number 20. Give me Bobby Witt. It's a phenomenal spot. It's one of the best spot, if not the best spot on the slate. This is a spot Montero struggles with right-handed power. Bobby Witt, leadoff home run. Let's get it. Under 4K to get 2 hits. Who's a cheap bet that you like on the slate?
Oh, there's quite a few, but I'll go with the easy one. I'll go Jackson Holiday.
Yeah, I mean, I like that one. I was trying to say with someone not Baltimore, but it's so hard because like their matchup is just so good on the slate. I'll go a little off the board. Give me MJ Melendez at 3,100 to get 2 hits today. Stacked score, 6 or more runs. Who's scoring some runs today?
Well, I think Baltimore's got to be the choice.
I like it. I'm going to go against the grain here a little bit, and I'm going to go with give me Miami. Miami to score 6 or more runs today. Let's go against the grain. Any player props or pick and plays that you like on this slate?
I would go.
I looked earlier, and there is not any plays up yet. Oh, I lied. You get a strikeout prop for Sonny Gray and Shoto. That's about it.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. I don't like either one of those.
Nope. Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely be like Ryan Feltner comes in at 4.5. I like that number a lot. So I'll be looking at that one. Mayer, if he comes in at 4.5, I think I have interest in his strikeout prop if it's 4.5 as well. So those are 2 that I have written down to check in the morning because Hard Rock doesn't ever post anything till the morning of. So is there any other bets you like on this slate?
No, I bet the Reds on Wednesday night, and they lost by a touchdown, more than a touchdown. So I'm going to pass.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I love doing the morning grind, like 3-pick play parlay. I got nothing today. There's nothing that's like jumping off the page to me. If anything, I'd maybe bet the over in the Baltimore Cleveland game. But that, I mean, I'm not feeling great about anything today. So, Tim, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, welcome back, Stevie. Awesome doing a show with you as always.
All right, buddy. Well, appreciate everyone for all the kind words. Like I said it before, subscribe. Come hang out with us 10 p.m. Eastern, Sunday through Thursday. That'll wrap it up here for Thursday's slate. Back tomorrow talking baseball. Good luck, everyone. We'll see you then.